Well, good morning, my little space puppies. I wanted to bring you an update from the magical world of my dreams. I've expressed this new phenomena that's been happening to me for the last year. I wake up, I'm not quite awake, I'm not quite asleep. This state of mind is often called betwixt and between. And so I like to think of myself lately as a beautiful dreamer. And I get a vision, is a still picture, and it is as if somebody set off a camera flash bulb in my face. I sometimes have to hold up my hands to hide the glare. So, what do I get this morning? King Kong, New York, and Donald Trump. Now, what do these things have in common with each other? Sometimes I will go online to find pictures that depict the picture I got in my mind. And I found this cartoon that was kind of funny. It's Donald Trump as King Kong on top of the Empire State Building, and a plane is flying by going, winning the New York primary is huge. But as we all know how this ends for King Kong. I thought that was kind of interesting. Somehow, somebody has made the connection of King Kong and Donald Trump in the Empire State Building. And what I got, the flash in front of me, was King Kong with, uh, and it looked like he had beheaded Donald Trump. Donald Trump King Kong was just holding up the head by the yellow hair, and as if he had beheaded him. So, and it wasn't gory. It was just it's a little unusual. Usually, when I wake up, I'm thinking about coffee, not King Kong, not Donald Trump, not the Empire State Building. And when I thought about this image, I thought about, well, let me show you. Let me introduce uh, Barbara Underwood. I hope it's not too dark to come out. The picture's a little dark. So this is Miss Barbara Underwood. Let me introduce you to her. She's a brilliant legal mind. I think she has a haircut like Harry Potter, which makes her cool in my book. She is the district state attorney for the state of New York. She has been looking into the Trump family's tax evasion issues. They're very serious. So, and if anybody can take care of this matter, it will be Barbara. So she's not anybody to mess with. She's a brilliant legal mind. So we have the New York State is after Donald Trump, and I think my vision was New York State is handing Donald Trump back his head on a platter. And this brought to mind a memory of when the Twin Towers went down. Donald Trump was celebrating because that made his building taller. Trump Towers became a relative, in relative to the Twin Towers, became one of the tallest guys in town. This reminds me of a Chinese proverb. You don't become the tallest man in town by going around and chopping off everybody's head. So that was my vision, and I think the whole thing was about the end of Trump. The psychics have believed that it would be a woman that takes down Donald Trump, and I think Barb can do it. So she's got my vote. And I wouldn't want her investigating any part of my life, that's for sure. Because justice will be done with this lady. So, and when you think about the Kavanaugh hearing, what if he had appointed somebody like Barbara Underwood? What a different story we'd have. She's fair, impartial, and has a brilliant legal mind. But no, he chose frat boy Kavanaugh. So in my search to understand what these things have meant, I have found Dave Johnson, a psychic in Australia. I think he's in Sydney. And he's American, but he lives in Australia. So he, about every other day, he comes out with what he calls Moon Ride, R-I-D-E. And that is somebody that he channels. And he asks to be shown certain things, and he's given visions. Okay, so he's a lot more verbal than I am, and there's a little more flexibility here. But he's speaking his vision as he talks. I will leave his URL or contact site down below in the comment section. It's good to watch him. I think he's very good. What we're having now in our time, we're having unusually good psychics, and they're very intent on doing an extremely good job. We're entering into a new age, which I've talked about a lot, the Yugas, and we've entered into the Bronze Age. And this is why I want you to subscribe, because I'm going to be bringing a lot on the Yugas. It is the big picture. When I became an astrologer years ago, I had an NDE experience in a car accident. I needed to understand how I could go to heaven and back in the blink of an eye. I was a pretty straight little kid. You don't go from being a Susie cream cheese with a very bland background to outer space and God and the other side. This is a little jarring. So I decided to take up astrology. That made sense to me. Everything else was, I was becoming psychic very rapidly, and that was like, it's unsettling if you're not prepared. Your background has not prepared you for it. So off I go. Now I am learning about the Yugas through my Hindu studies, and Yugas are the big picture. That's what I wanted when I studied astrology. I wanted the big picture. I wanted something that really showed how we were evolving as people and what's the best way we could use knowledge. So the Hindus and the Chinese, the ancient cultures that did not fall as deeply into the dark ages as Western civilization, we have for the last 2,400 years had been in the dark ages. It's called the Kali Yuga, and that's Y-U-G-A. Yuga is an age, so it's Kali Yuga. And for 2,400 years, 2,400 years, 2,400, we have the dark ages. We descended from higher ages into darkness. And a lot of the wise people of this age knew that this big cycle, which is literally day and night for our solar system. See, our solar system has a day and night, just like our planet does. You look at our behavior at nighttime, we're unconscious, we're asleep, and we're on a different level. Then when you look at our behavior in the daytime, there's a world difference. So we've been asleep. In 2,400 years, in this area, we descended down here. So we think that in a linear view of the progress of man, we think that we've been evolving from, something that was maybe 6,000 years old to now. We went from being an amoeba to an advanced human being. No, it's just the opposite. We've been descending into the age of darkness. Fear and superstition was, if studying the only history we have in Western knowledge, it starts about here in the last Bronze Age. And it's very distressing. I took history in college. I couldn't take it. It was, god awful. And I said, we're not ascending. And indeed, we are just starting this great ascent into an enlightened age. Okay? And it's very exciting. Right now, we're right here at Think, um, think of this as um, 2020. The New Age started exactly at 1900. In the 1900s, the turn of the last century, you have to look at where mankind was versus where he is now in the last 120 years. And everybody knows whether you are, 70 years old or 10 years old. Something has changed in the last 100 years. And in a previous Yuga YouTube, I went into the advancements that we've made in the last 120 years. This ties in heavily with the Mayans. The Mayans dated their calendar for 2012. That is approximately, on this big picture, that's approximately this time of our lives. And it was going to be two things, the end of us and the beginning of us. Nothing ends without beginning. So, now, what will happen? Will we have the cataclysms of the history? If you look at Atlantis, the pyramids, the Great Flood, every time we changed an age, great changes in our Earth took place because our conscious level our planet is a reflection of our conscious level. When we fall into darkness, well, sometimes it's so destructive that we destroy ourselves, which we're doing our very best with the bombs we have, the technology. We're like little kids still in diapers with high technology. So it's not a good combination. The problem is, if we wanted to know what happened the last 24,000 years ago, because this is 24,000 years, we have no history. We have no way to know is there great cataclysms with the ascending ages? We're ascending, and that's exciting, or else it would be very depressing. And indeed, the people, like the Egyptians and older cultures, they knew, as they had wisdom from the ages, they knew we were descending into darkness and tried to preserve knowledge, but it got lost, destroyed, and things like that. But we remember in our racial history, we remember the Garden of Eden. We didn't, it had nothing to do with Adam and Eve. You have to recognize that we've just been through 2,400 years of darkness. And in each age we're sent an avatar. In the beginning of the Kali Yuga age, or known as the Iron Age, Jesus was sent to us, and his message was love one another. So you see what we did with Jesus. We killed him. Then we spent the last 2,000 years killing each other. So the love one another kind of got lost. Another thing, many things happen here, as we have a chance of saving our civilization and our planet. This is as everybody recognizes this as the pivotal time. And many things are happening that show all the signs of a new age. Not only do we have new technology, planes, and hundreds of thousands of new things in the last 100 years, but in the ascending golden ages, all people spoke one language. There wasn't like thousands of little languages all over the planet, as there have been. And when we all start speaking the same language, we're just one step away from speaking telepathically to each other, which is the way we used to communicate. And we're entering into that again. That's why we're having the renewal of psychic and spiritual people who are able to tap into this universal knowledge that's available to anybody. So with one language, we begin to have equality of the sexes, equality of the races. We all speak with one tongue, literally. And then from there, we ascend upward. that is assuming you don't act out the Mayan calendar of 2012, where we just basically end everything. But there is no end in the circle. It's like we don't blow up the planet and then that's the end of Earth. No, that means that we are still on this ascent. One thing, this made me feel better knowing about it, because as soon as you lock into the theory of reincarnation and you believe it with all your heart and soul, which is natural, we've always, it's this fear and superstition. We're stepping out of that craziness. And if you do have to reincarnate, because I used to think, oh God, I don't want to come back. We're into an ascending age. I was saying, when you die, you go, sorry, you got to go back. It's not so bad the next time, and then it's not so bad the next time, and you get to glory in the new age, because literally, mankind lives in a heavenly environment by the time we get up to the golden ages, and these terms stick with us as we continue on our ascent up. So that's the good news. Equality, telepathic communications, equalness of race and gender, and speaking one language. There's not as many misunderstandings with one language. There's also not such division. One thing that has marked this age that we're coming out of is great division of everything. Continents, national, where you define yourself with nationalities and borders, and my side is better than your side. And so that's where problems start. When you get rid of that stuff, we're not so dual. You have to admit that we're learning that we have been of a dual nature. And me versus you, us versus them, and then the conflicts begin. So we're going to be ascending up. We have to try to make our consciousness higher. All this is really great looking at the big picture, but we need to think about right now. I am a double Capricorn. Yes, that's wise advice. One thing that has become popular with, we're starting to recognize that thoughts and things are pretty well connected, but we're still doing a pretty rough job of thinking one thing and trying to manifest. This is a big word now. People are trying to manifest. And I had shown to me in one of my dreams, or really I call them flashes, that the reason we are kind of limping along with how to manifest things is if you have a dual nature, which is almost all the people on the planet, unless you are a sage or a guru, as long as you think and act in a dual nature, you're sending out vibrations to the universe of say one thing, do another. The universe kind of behaves like a carbon copy machine, and it hands you back what you're saying and thinking and doing, and you end up with a mess. So and I have tried this, if we all, or at least you as an individual, you really work on saying the same thing that you're thinking, doing the same thing that you say you will begin manifesting in a positive way. But if you are navigating your life with saying one thing and doing another, which is what almost all people do, you end up with a mess. You're handing one thing to the universe and pulling the rug out from under yourself, and you end up with a mess. And believe me, I've tried this. Let's say I'm going to do a resume, or I meet a cute guy. I'm sorry, but 5 and 10 years will drop off of my age immediately. And I was a model, so I found, my age depended on what the job was. So we have a pretty flexible way of behaving, and say one thing, do another. That certainly sounds like mankind, the dual nature. You can't act and think and behave in a dual nature and think, I want world peace or I want a new car. How about that? You know, you want to be able to manifest things. So I'm working on it personally, and I'll let you know. If a new car appears in my driveway and world peace pop breaks out all over the world, then maybe I will have gotten my manifestation straight. Back to the here and now. From the beginning of my flashes, I got the message that Trump will go. I got this last year. Trump will go when the stock market goes down. We're going to have a 2008 repeat, and we're into almost the end of October, and every time I look and see the stock going down, yesterday we dropped 600 points. I guess it was 600, 300. You know, it gets a little hard. It's been a real roller coaster, and the advice would be, if you have something you want to sell, like a piece of property or a house, now's the time to do it, because property values devaluate when the stock market goes down. If you want to buy something, you might want to wait, because you want to buy what you have at a lower rate, which kind of equates to our dual nature. So, as human beings, are always selling something to somebody, and maybe telling little fibs by taking out, by route of omission, leave things out. So we kind of have some work to do on a really small personal level, and what was shown to me was, it is, let's say you're in an office filling out a form. You think, oh my goodness, I'm out of a pen. I need pens. I don't have any at home. And the receptionist has just handed you a pen. You go, oh good, here's my pen, and you put it in your pocket. You see, you have lied by omission. If you said to the receptionist, thank you for the pen, I really need one, I'm going to keep it. We don't behave that way. You smile, take the pen, and put it in your pocket, as opposed to saying, thanks, I'm going to take this and not return it. It's, and that's where you have to start. If you want to manifest something great and grand, if you can't get that straight, and really, we don't want to have more power than that, because we have great abilities to destroy things, like little kids in a playground with atomic weapons on all levels. So that's what we're aiming towards. And remember, we're moving towards a new age. We're going to look for Donald Trump. This is a really good one. I got this yesterday. I saw Donald Trump on a child's swing. It reminded me of one I used to play out a long time ago. I liked it because it was so high, you could swing up high. Okay, I saw Donald Trump on a child's swing, and except one thing started happening. It was like the ground started moving around, and he was trying to swing up high, and the swing kept tangling around itself, twisting around, and he couldn't swing high. He was being he couldn't, and he was being unable to continue swinging high, because the swing was moving around and not behaving itself. And the message with that was, he will be defeated by the swing voters. It's very literal. Swing voters, the purple people. You see, we have a red party and a blue party, but in between we have purple people. They're not this or that. It just depends almost on a whim. So he's going to be defeated by the purple people, and he's going to be defeated by the millennials. A child swing is symbolic of the millennials. They're coming in to power and beginning to vote at 18, and Donald Trump is a relic from the last century of the way of thinking of might is right, take and steal what you can, lie all the time. That's the way we've been conducting ourselves for the last 2,400 years. Donald Trump is going out. He was a way of behaving for a long time. We behaved that way. The only way we got something was to steal it. So we have the millennials, and he's being tripped up on a playground, and the swing votes are doing him in. And then I have King Kong handing his head on a platter, which meant the state of New York has the final say. They have the final swing. Donald Trump is taken down by New York State. They're investigating his taxes, and so we have the millennials, the swing votes, and Barbara Underwood. Look at Donald. So that's the update. I want to bring more on the Yugas in the future, and tomorrow I will wake up with yet a new vision. Maybe I can evolve to the place where Dave Johnson is, because he's wonderful to watch, and it reminds me of what I'm doing. So I bid you adieu. Oh, I want to show you one thing. Hold on. This is my Zen kitty. Zen kitty says, that was Zen, Z-E-N, and this is Meow. It comes out kind of dark, but I really like it. So you can subscribe by hitting the Zen kitty in the lower right-hand corner, and that way you get a little notification when my next vision flash. It's a gift. I'm going to use it properly. So that was Zen, and this is Meow. Don't forget to subscribe for the next update.